Thanks for telling me that. Let me know if this is better. Is that better? The audio better, bro? Brother checked in and said the audio was bad. All right, Con. The water, bro. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. So I'm gonna try to do a little rough little review of what I was talking about. But basically, so I'm doing this Jeremiah 10 and 1. All right, of course, this is talking about Christmas. Okay, so it says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel." We're going to Jeremiah 10 and 2. "Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen." So, of course, learn not the way of the heathen, meaning don't do what these heathens do. Who are the heathens? You got the Chinese, who is the so-called Moabite. You got the Japanese, who's the Ammonite. You got the Arabs, you know what I mean? East Indians, or these are all heathens. And heathen is a non-Israelite, which means, the Most High God don't deal with them. All right. "And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." 10 and 3. "For the customs of the people are vain." It's all for the oppressor is just does nothing but line his own pockets. That's all it's about. It's not about joining with your family, being happy, in happiness and whatnot. It's all about vanity, about making money for the oppressor. "For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe." It's telling you how it's made here. It's telling you clearly, where the Christmas tree comes from. And of course, this is a Babylonian practice. This is, something that happened in Babylon. The Babylonians again were, Hamites under Nimrod and and whatnot or whatever. But same stock as the Egyptians and so-called Africans. "For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe." 10 and 4. "They deck it with silver and with gold." See, this is telling you clearly what it's talking about. If you ever, growing up, I'm pretty sure, growing up, a lot of us didn't know, it was, what was going on, if it was, if it was a good practice or not. But I remember, grandma setting up the tree, throwing the little silver and gold stuff all over the tree, putting a star up on top of it. "They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not." Okay, so, and again, this is a ancient Babylonian practice. This is something that had to do with Nimrod, who was, a king, and at that time, the first man to rule, go to war and whatnot, and subdue kingdoms and whatnot. But it's just a pagan practice. It's a worship of the sun god, and this is something that the Most High God does not want Israelites doing. And again, the white man, because he is a vagabond bum that steals and takes from everybody else, he took these practices and instituted them into the Christian church, and then you get them today here in America. And if you don't know, the white man came on the scene from Alexander. Alexander conquered the Persians, and then they took over. He conquered many lands, and he conquered the Persians, Egypt, and all these different places. And then he died like he didn't last long. He died a young death, and his kingdom got spread up to all his generals and whatnot, like the Ptolemies, Seleucid, and all these other guys, these names or whatever, these Rome, these Greeks or whatever. But anyway, like I said, this is a heathen practice, okay? And this is something that the Most High God does not want Israelites to do. And because we do it, that's one of the reasons why we're crushed all the way here in America and all over the world. We continue to allow these wicked things in our homes. You might have a family member who you might love dearly or whatever, and then they're not in the truth, or they don't want to hear nothing about the truth, and they trying to convince you to let them bring a tree in the house, put Christmas decorations up, or your kids, you know what I mean. They make you feel like you're a bad father or a bad mother because you don't get your kids Christmas gifts and whatnot. And that's why I wanted to, that first verse I wanted to, when it said Mark 13 and 13, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." And this is Christ saying that you're going to be hated because you don't do these things, because you're not like everybody else. because you don't do what they do. You don't follow the masses because you stand up and you know that it's wrong, and you want to, you see these classes and ISUPK and the Commander Junior Hunter, and you learn that these things are wrong. So everywhere you go now, in your own home, at your employment, wherever you go, people hate you. They hate you. They're going to treat you like you're the sinner or something's wrong with you. They're going to make you, try to make you feel bad or wrong for what you're doing. But that's why Christ is saying, you're going to be hated of all men for my name's sake. What I came to, Christ came, Yahushua came to teach, what the Most High God wanted here on earth. And he, he put this information out here. It's in the Bible. This is, what I mean. This is where the prophets are, and they teach the same thing because they follow Christ. So today in the ISUPK, when we bring it out to you, just like when we're at camp, people walk past, mock us, say crazy things to us, and you know do this and do that. But I mean, it's something that we're used to. We don't. It doesn't bother us. But we're out there trying to save our people, man. We love our people. We're trying to see our people stop sinning, and we're trying to come together collectively as a nation and rule this planet like we're supposed to. And the only way we're going to do it is by doing what the Most High God says. And we got to get into this truth now. We can't wait because we don't know. Who knows when Yahweh will come back, and then it might be too late for you. You know what I mean? And then he comes and says, "Well, what were you doing? What works did you do?" And then next thing you know, you got nothing to say. And then you're going to die with the heathen. So again, it's we need to keep the law, statutes, commands of the Most High God. That's what we need to do, and stop following the practice of these devils, these heathens, these other heathen nations. All right, so I'm gonna go back since the audio was bad. I'm gonna run through this a little bit again what I pulled before. So we did Ecclesiasticus 12:10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." Okay, of course we know that the enemy is the so-called white man, the oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks about, and other heathen nations like you grow up in these neighborhoods like here in Pittsburgh, we have Homewood, we have Larmer, Garfield. You go into these neighborhoods, it's like predominantly black neighborhoods. I mean, there's some, other nations there now, but predominantly black neighborhoods in the inner city. But you'll have, on each corner, you'll have an Arab store, a chicken joint, or some corner store where they sell all types of tobacco products and whatnot. And and these people are making a damn killing in our neighborhood, and also treating us like sh what, in our own neighborhoods. They rule over us in our own place of residence. And that's in the scriptures. It tells you that the heathen, even in our own neighborhoods, the heathen will get up above us very high, and we'll come down very low. This is why we're the tenants and they're the landlords. This is why in the economic, social structure, what I mean, they're making the big bucks, and we're, we down at the bottom. Some of us, have got, fortunate enough to, make some, mid-level money or whatever, and sustain ourselves. But as a total people, as a, people, a total, nation, we're at the bottom. Every other nation is above us. You know what I mean? And this is a curse. This is in the Bible. So Ecclesiastic is 12:10. Shalom, big man. Shalom, man. Got my two brothers on here. Shalom, man. Shalom, Brett. Definitely, man. Good to see y'all in here, man. Ecclesiasticus 12:10. I'm going back over, you know what I mean? Because I had brother Brett told me the audio was bad. So I'm running back through some stuff. And we're gonna talk about the Hanukkah, you know what I mean? And basically, having some strength during these trying times, on these holidays, man. I know it's tough, you know what I mean? Might have a rib or some family member, you know what I mean, down your back, all about, these stupid holidays, whatever. So that's what we're going over here. So Ecclesiastic is 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So, of course, iron will rust, over time. It is rust for a very long time. You know what I mean? That's just like the white man. Like, you know what I mean? No matter uh, uh, how much humility he shows at one point, he's still a wicked bastard. You can't trust him. Over time, he's going to show his wickedness. This is just like Joe Biden. When Joe Biden got in office, what was it? They was calling him Moneybag Joe, right? He was giving out the stimulus checks. You're not black if you don't vote for Joe Biden, right? And then what him and the Kamala Harris do when they got in office, and still people still think that's a sister, but I don't know why. But they do nothing. They don't do nothing. Uh, the situation happened at the border with our Haitian brothers and sisters. They meet them at the border. You know, beating them. You know what I mean? Telling them to go back where they came from, but then they welcome what 300,000 or something Afghan refugees into America. I think just like something a couple 100,000 in Pittsburgh alone. Set them up with housing, give them funding and all this different stuff. But when it comes to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they don't do that for us. And that's our president. Joe Biden. For brothers and sisters in the world, that's your president. That's who you voted for. You know what I mean? He did nothing for you, nothing. Let me pull something else here. We just brought up Mark 13:13, where it says, "You'll be hated of all men, for my name's sake." Christ said that because, again, if you're not celebrating Christmas, Thanksgiving, doing any of these holidays or whatnot, you're going to be, you're going to be hated. You're going to be hated. It's just as simple as that. You might be hated by your own rib. You might be hated by your own husband, your son, your daughter. All right. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Of course, it's talking about your mind in this situation here. Your mind is what your heart, that's what it means when it says your heart is deceitful above all things. Okay. By listening to yourself, it's natural for men and women to want to sin or do wicked things. That's why we had but the Most High God gave us His Spirit so we can pay attention to that instead of our own selves. Because most people want to commit the sins. They want to have sex with whores. They want to eat whatever they want to eat. They want to roll up the weed. You know what I mean? They want to smoke cigarettes. Whatever it is they want to do, they want to do. But the Spirit is the one that's telling you to not do that. And that's what we need to pay attention to. Okay. Jeremiah 17:10. I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. Okay. So, of course, your reins is the seat of your feelings or your passions. Okay. The Most High God is going to search that out, but he's going to give you according to your works. Because we coming back in here. We coming back here. So, depending on your works, if you're actually keeping the law, statutes, commands, or you're in His truth, the Most High God is going to repay you according to your works. You might be a ruler in that kingdom, in Christ's kingdom, but if you're not doing no works, who knows how you coming back in here? You might come back in here in them projects again, man. You might come back in here, or worse. It could happen. Could definitely happen. We got into Amos 5:21, where it says, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Though you offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. Again, so of course we know that the Most High God hates and despises your feast days. When He says yours pertaining to you, to us, it's not something that the Most High God says to do in the Bible. It's something that man created and something that man wants to do. And the Most High God hates it. Okay. And again, when it says solemn assemblies, it's talk about like, you made it, now you've made it like a religion. You've made it, something that, people come together at a specific time and everybody does it. And it's something that the Most High God does not approve of. And again, well, I'll name the real, feast here in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary shortly. I'm just trying to do a rough uh, scan through here because he told me that the audio was kind of messed up. So now we was just on Jeremiah 10:1. This is going into about the Christmas tree, because of course we know that's the next heathenistic custom that's coming along, a heathenistic practice that blacks, Hispanics, today, the Indians are going to get into. So Jeremiah 10:1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. 10:2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Okay, learn not the way of the heathen. Of course, we know, we don't do what the heathens do. For the customs of the people are vain, right? Nimrod. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. So of course we know that, like you said in here, Nimrod, right, and his mother Semiramis. It's a heathen practice started in Babylon, and it's something that, of course, remember I brought up. I don't know if you heard me before you came in, but I was talking about Alexander, how he, conquered all them different nations and he subdued the Persians, and of course they learned that, that heathenistic custom, took it for them for their own, and then added to it, added the fat white man, Santa Claus, and all these other different reindeers and Christmas sleighs and all this. You know what the white man does. But basically, yeah, it's a Nimrod. It's worshiping Nimrod. It's a Babylonian practice. Some stinking Hamites, came up with it first, and the white man copied it. So right, that's that. So Jeremiah 10:1 down to 10:4, 5 is talking about the Christmas tree. So, and that's a battle, man. We got to fight, man, because if you have a rib that's not in this truth, man, they're trying to bring that Christmas tree in the house, man. They're trying to do that. And as a black man, you imagine telling that black woman that you ain't celebrating no Christmas, and they can't bring no Christmas tree in the house. You already know what that's hitting for, man. You might be sleeping on on the front porch or the back porch, but it is what it is. That's why I say the Most High God said, You know what I mean? He that endures, to the end will, be saved. Will get that salvation. I mean, you got to be strong. You got to be, resilient in these times, man, because this spirit in Christmas, man, is like the worst. It's just the way people act, the way people, they spend all their money. They go broke just to, to keep up with the so-called keep up with the Joneses. Right, 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 wifey, right. Yeah, they go broke just to, to satisfy these kids. And really, in all honesty, a lot of kids don't even really care about no damn Christmas. They just want the toys or whatnot. But I remember years ago when I stopped celebrating Christmas, probably about almost 10 years now. Like, I mean, my kids didn't even, once I told them we weren't doing it no more, they didn't even say nothing else no more. They didn't care. They didn't care. They know 300, there's other 360 some days of the year, 365 days of the year. And, they're getting things all year. They don't give a damn about no Christmas, man. The facts is you want to celebrate Christmas. That's what it really is. Don't try to make it, I'm doing it for the kids or, I'm not really celebrating, but I wanted my kids to, have something to remember. Nah, what it is you really want to do it because the kids don't give a damn. They're gonna get them toys, play with them for a day or two. They're gonna be broke in the corner somewhere, and they don't care about them. A few days later. So I'll read that one more time from the top. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord: Learn not the way of the heathen. Christmas is a heathen practice. The Most High God does not want us observing no damn Christmas. And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. Okay, so again, the Most High God don't want to celebrate no Christmas. Period. All right, He doesn't want to celebrate no Christmas. And again, the topic is, to remain strong and be holy. And we know the holy means to be separate. So the Most High God wants us to be separate from other nations. Just because we live here in America and there's other nations around us, uh, everywhere we go, does not mean we have to conduct ourselves like them. We don't have to do what they do. And for us to do what they do is detrimental to us. You know what I mean? The Most High God deals with us only. He punishes us. And that's in the scripture. So you think you can do what a heathen does or continue to live like them, the Most High God is going to punish you, not them. He's going to punish you. Well, their punishment is coming one day, but we got to get our stuff together. We got to get our thing together. All right, so we're going to go to Second Peter 1 and 16. 2 Peter 1 and 16. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. So what does cunning mean? It's like, trickery, right? Fables, right? Fables like something like a story of like some supernatural happenings. Like what would that be talking about? What would that be talking about? Some type of supernatural happening or some type of fable. It's like Christmas. That's what it is. They tell you that some fat 400-pound white man's coming through your chimney. He's been riding on a sleigh and they got reindeers that fly through the sky. And then there's one with a red nose. And this is what we believe. I mean, there's people, kids that grow up and really believe these things. Like, they really believe this because, it's all over your TV, the radio, all through the newspapers. Everybody tells these stories, the songs, and white man got songs. Even there's even Israelites that got songs about it. But for we have not followed cunningly devised fables. We when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we're eyewitnesses of His majesty. So celebrating Christmas is you're celebrating a fable. You're celebrating something that's made by man. It's a story. It's nothing but vanity or vain profit for him. And I went over earlier. Basically, I think it was about 750 billion or something like that dollars that they estimate. I think it was last year, but this year is going to be even more. So it's nothing about family and getting together and the white man caring about you being happy with your family. It's about him lining his damn pockets is what it's about. And it's always been about that. And having you sin and have you at odds with the Most High God, and then while you're a sinner, the Most High God doesn't protect you, or He doesn't protect us, and the white man can rule over us. And that's how He's been ruling over us for over 400 years here in America because we won't keep His laws. And that's good because I'm gonna jump back into Deuteronomy 27:1. I read this too. And Moses, with the elders of Israel, commanded the people, saying, "Keep all the commandments which I command you this day." And of course, we know that Moses was a Levite brother, or the so-called Haitians, back in the time of like the Exodus during of Egypt, and before we went into the Holy Land. which he actually didn't never get a chance to actually go into because he died before he did. But so I'm just telling you here because Moses, with the elders of Israel, meaning the ancient of our people, that are the elders at that time, commanded the people, saying, "Keep all the commandments which are commanded this day." That's just like the ISUPK and the commanding Junior Hana. We go out here and we plead with our people and try to tell them to keep God's laws. Because why? Because this will stop you from being a destroyed man or woman here in America. And it also collectively will put us back where we need to be, which is in rulership. I don't know no black man, Hispanic man, or Native Indian man or woman that does not want to rule. I just don't know. And if you don't want to rule, I just don't know what to say about that, because I damn sure don't want no heathens ruling over me. I don't like going anywhere and somebody telling me what to do, especially of another nation. I don't like it. And I'm pretty sure any man or woman that's an Israelite, you know, probably feels the same. Okay. Let's get Proverbs 14 and 12. And then I'm gonna read a few more scriptures, and then I'm gonna read a little bit about the feast that the Most High actually approve of, or the high holy days, and then we'll read a little bit about Judas Maccabees and the Maccabean revolt. So Proverbs 14 and 12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. See, I mean, celebrating Christmas or Thanksgiving seems right to a man. Why? Because we've been brought up to observe these things. Grandma taught you that, or mother and father. You've seen everybody else in your neighborhood doing it. It's all over the TV, the radio, news, and you just think you're doing what everybody else is doing. Everybody is doing the right thing, right? But there's a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. You keep celebrating Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, Independence Day, Easter. I mean, these things are going to be detrimental to you as a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man. The Most High God does not give a damn about these man-made holidays. He does not care about them. He does not. And not only does he not care about them, when you observe these days, you're observing days that are, about other idol gods and stuff like that. Things that the heathens, that's how they worship their gods. So, not only are you disobeying the Most High God, you're giving your obedience to another god. And then you triple up your sin, because on these days, what you do, you eat unlawful foods. You eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. Then you smoking weed too. You know what I mean? It's just the Most High God is tired of his people not keeping their heritage. What is our heritage? You know, Acting, looking like warriors, like warlike men, masculine men. You know what I mean? Keeping the laws. You know what I mean? Which is why it says, to go, search your elders, search, back when, because that's what's going to tell you who you really were. And I believe that's the next scripture we're going to get into. But Proverbs 14 and 12, there was a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So if you're a sinner, you're going to end up dead. I mean, it's just as simple as that. If you're keeping sin, if you're a sinner, especially if you know the truth, if you know the truth and you continue to be a sinner, I mean, that's worse than somebody who doesn't know the truth. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like there's no reason for the truth to be present, or you to know something, that's unlawful, and you continue to do it. And you can't allow your man or your woman, your children, or anybody like that to allow you to keep doing these things. You gotta understand, in order to get this kingdom, I mean, according to the scriptures, the kingdom is gonna be a glorious thing. So in order for you to get that, you're gonna have to suffer. You're gonna have to sacrifice here in the world. You might lose your woman. You might lose your man. You might lose a child. Everybody might hate you, but guess what? Are you here to, please them, or do you want to please the Most High God? Remember, the Most High God is the one that gave you that family. He's the one that gave you that family. You know what I mean? It's not your own doing. Yeah, they might have come from your body or whatnot, but I mean, the Most High God gave you that family. He's the one that gave you life. So, and the Most High God can also give you more of what you had. He can give you another rib. He can give you more than one. He can give you other children. So, why would you allow them to be, your downfall, or you the reason for not to get the kingdom? Oh man, I do want to get, I do believe this and I want to get the truth, but my wife, man, or my sisters, like my husband, he don't like me coming around to ask you, because I mean, the bottom line is to keep God's laws. That's all man's duty, is to keep God's laws. It doesn't say to, make your wife happy, or to make your husband happy, or make your children happy. That's not what it says. It says to keep God's laws. So if you want that kingdom, you want that rulership, because you're coming back in here. If you want that rulership, you got to do what God says. It's period, point blank. You got to do what God says and not worry about what people or man says. All right, we're going to go to Deuteronomy 32:7. Um, Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. So we know that, we know what generations are, right? You're going back to your ancestors, right? And your elders are the ancient of your people back in the day, right? And your father in this context is talking about the Most High God. So it says, ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. So in this Bible, that's where you can find what your father wants you to know, okay? In this Bible. And don't let nobody tell you that the Bible is made by the white man and it's for anybody else but a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, because that's a lie. And of course, they want you to think that so you don't open up this book and find out your true history. So the Bible's not for the white man, and it hasn't been wrote by the white man. King James was a black man, and so forth. But so he's going to show you by opening up this Bible. And your elders are in this Bible. These prophets in here are black, Hispanic, or Native Indian men, or, men and women. But these are your elders right here. And then today, and I actually became the commanding general Yohana. That would be, the leaders today. And that's how you're going to find out. Don't waste your time getting into any other Israelite groups, because they're not in the truth. They're not going to tell you. They don't have the 100% unadulterated truth. Only in the ISUPK the commanding general Yohana. Okay. So I'll read that one more time from the top. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and he will tell thee. Don't be afraid to go back into your history. Salakia. Don't be afraid to go back into your history and find out the truth about who you are. Don't accept here in America today that you're an African American. Don't accept that. Or you know what I mean? They just call you black or Negro. You know what I mean? Like your nationality is you're an Israelite. That's what you are. You're an Israelite. We have different tribes, but you're an Israelite. Okay, just like the white man. He's not really a white man. He's really an Edomite, but that's what he calls himself. So again, you're not no African or African American. And that comes from, sellout leaders like Jesse Jackson and people doing the civil rights movement. They gave you that tag or that name. And all they did was just do the work of the oppressor. People like Dr. Martin Luther King and whatnot. And of course, that's, he's a Christian. So, say he's a pastor too. He was a reverend. And that's what you get today in the Christian church. A bunch of, sellouts who do something for some vain reason, for some money, or to live better than the other blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. And they teach you wrong and have you, at odds with the Most High God, and leave you crushed all the way while he's riding around in his fourth private jet in his Hummer, or, you know what I mean, with his new, Italian suit. You know what I mean? So you got to understand that your leaders today are in the ISUPK carrying the command in Junior Hana. All right. Okay, one more. Let me get 17:4. What I did, yeah. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage. You hear this? This is talking to blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. Even thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. Okay. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. And this is heavy because, okay, what is our heritage? Like I said before, when you see the brothers in the ISUPK with with the crowns, dressing like men, like warriors, boots, braids, you know what I mean? That's your heritage. Keeping the law, statutes, commands of the Most High God. That is our original heritage. All right, and this is what the Most High God gave us. But for some reason, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians always want to do something or follow something to other people as if they are greater than us, or as if they have something that we don't have. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand why we do it. But so because we did this, because we celebrate Christmas, because we want to cook for Thanksgiving, we want to roll up the weed, we want to do this, we want to do that. It says, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. This is how we ended up in America serving the white man. And even back in the ancient days, we were in captivity under the Babylonians under Nebuchadnezzar. We were in captivity under the Assyrians, the Romans, the Greeks. Every time we don't do what the Most High God says, we end up in a captivity or under the white man, or some other nation. Today it's the white man, but today we're in America and we're still serving the nation of Edom, who basically is the Romans and the Greeks. It's the same people, and they just rule over here in America. And they came over here and took the land from our Hispanic brothers and sisters. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. So we pissed the Most High God off. We keep celebrating holidays, celebrating birthdays, eating pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. Keep getting shape ups, uh, whatever it is we're doing, having sex with whores, whatever it is that we're doing. The Most High God is going to, He's going to be furious. And he's going to have a fire, and it's going to burn forever. And this is why we are still in the same condition we've been in since we got here. It's an easy fix if we just do what the Most High God says. It's a very easy fix. Okay, so if you didn't know, this is we're still in the feast of dedication, which is Hanukkah, and we're gonna read a little bit about that. We're gonna read the story about the Maccabean revolt and like Judas Maccabeus and Mattathias' father, and then I'll read you a little bit about what the real high holy days and according to the scriptures, not American made holidays, but the real high holy days in the Bible. All right, so let's go over to we're gonna start at First Maccabees in verse 1. All right, and this, if you don't know, this is in the originally it was in a 1611 King James Bible, but the white man came and and took certain books out of the Bible. So this will be in the Apocrypha today. The Apocrypha is like a smaller book, but if you do get an original 1611 King James Bible, all the books will be in it. But this is in the Apocrypha. Okay, so we're gonna start at First Maccabees in 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So this is talking about what I was saying earlier. Alexander, who was a Macedonian, came and he conquered the Persians, because the Persians took over after they conquered the Babylonians. Okay, so we're going to verse 2. And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So this is Alexander. He's coming through. He's conquering all these different, lands and whatnot, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exultant and his heart was lifted up. So he's coming through smashing everything, meaning, you know what I mean? The earth was quiet before him. I mean, he conquered just about every damn thing. I mean, he was on his way to conquer it even more before he died a young death. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries. A host would be like troops or army, and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. So this is, remember I telling you, he died an early death. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander knew he was about to die, so he departed. He separated his kingdom into his generals. Okay, so Alexander reigned 12 years, and then he died. And his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. So Alexander was the start of this evil, of this white man's rule over the earth. And then he broke it down into his generals, and then his generals ruled, and then their kids got it, and their kids got it, and their kids got it. And this is how it just kept going on and on and on. Okay, so this is what's going on. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So this guy Antiochus comes along, and this is the one they're going to mainly talk about eventually. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who pursued many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So in that day in Israel, there were wicked men. That would be equivalent to your Christian church today, your pastor, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. This is what your Christian pastor does. This is what people who sell out to the white man do. Let's go make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, make an agreement. Let's join them. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So, this is typical, niggas in the world for you. You know, they feel like they can't get from up under the white man. Like whenever they get up from under the white man, it's like they feel like they can't do anything. They got to go right back under daddy. And this is what happened. And this is like post, what they call through slavery, Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean? This has been going on for a long time. It's going on today. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Okay. whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. What does that sound like? A place of exercise. Sound like sports, right? And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. And were sold to do mischief. What does that sound like? Remember when the one devil from Papa John's said all the racist things about black people, and who came to save him for the day? Who can answer that? Come on, man. I know you the answer to this. Who came and saved that white man who was talking on Papa John's, called us niggas and all that? What black man came and saved that city day for that? Who came and saved the situation with Colin Kaepernick, about the NFL treating blacks the wrong way? It's been happening for a long time. I'll read that again. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Okay, so remember when you talking about Papa John's commercial now, you got what? Shaquille O'Neal's the face of Papa John's, right? The NFL, what they called on Jay-Z, right? To mend their relationship with black athletes, right? This is what they've been doing for a long time. It's no different, right, exactly. So, and this has been going on forever, man. It's always that way. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have the dominion of two realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. Ptolemy was another Greek. I think he was one of the generals of Alexander too. You see, they go to war with each other. White man don't give a damn. They'll go to war with anybody, to rule. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. This is that Antiochus. And after that, Antiochus has smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. So he went up to our homeland, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, which is for the priests, and the pouring vessels, and the veils, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he had pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. So he went up into our, right, most subtile beast, went up into our homeland, murdered, raped, killed, and spoke very proudly about it. That's your white man. Salakia. Therefore, it was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of a woman was changed. Okay, every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. But these devils are in our land now, and they doing all type of devil heathenistic practices, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. This is the white man. He speaks peace. He's subtle, just like you said right there. Subtle. He speaks peace. He comes, like he wants to be your friend and whatnot. But um, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. He's a deceiver. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel. Right. Face fork tongue. Right. Con. Right. And that's your Joe Biden too. Right. Vote for Joe Biden. You're not black if you're Joe Biden. As soon as you get in there, get your black. Go back to where you came from. You know what I mean? Talking to the Haitians. This is what they do. This is what they do. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. So he took our women and children captive. Then built the city of David with a great strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare. A snare is like a trap, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's just a wicked group of people. It's like a woman is like considered a snare when she's like wicked and have evil intentions. For it was a piece to lie in wait against, for it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel. So they built this place up in the city of David, or the walls of David, or whatever, to basically just oppress our own people. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. So this is also like one of the reasons how we ended up in Africa, because we were being oppressed by these Romans in 70 AD. Was it Titus and Vespasian? They oppressed it. They came in and burned the temple up and everything. Then this was the first time, and then we fled, or the last time when we fled from there and went into Africa, like the western part of Africa. That's how we ended up in Africa. And that's why a lot of them like to say, we're Africans, because we went there for refuge. Just like here, they oppressed us there, and did all types of wickedness to us, so they left out of the land. All right. And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased. Her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Okay, so here you go. You got this heathen king in here, right? And he's saying, now we got to be one people. All right. And everyone should have leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Of course, the heathens are going to agree to this, right? But he don't care about the heathens. He wants Israel to get into this. Yeah. Many also of the Israelites consented to this religion. See, that's like today. We're Israelites, but we in Christianity. We're in a conscious community. We want to be, Muslims. We want to, we want to do everything but be an Israelite. You know what I mean? We want to do everything but be who we really are. Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to this religion, to his religion, and sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath. That's what you're doing when you celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas. You're sacrificing to idols when you eat those meals and whatnot. It's the same thing. It's been going on forever. It's nothing new. All right. Um, for the king has sent letters by messengers to Jerusalem, Salakia, and to the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. So the king is making this like a law, a doctrine. You got to do whatever I tell you to do. And why do you think they do it? They do it on purpose. They know that we're not allowed to do these things, and we be disobeying God by doing it. But of course, they want us to do that, because by us doing that, it enables them to rule over us. All right. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. So he's saying, don't keep your practices. Don't do what you've been doing, according to the Most High God. But we're going to profane the Sabbaths. We're not going to keep the whole holy days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And that was a big thing back in the day. We didn't, Israelites back in this time, it was a abomination. They would never touch pork like we do today. It never would happen then. But now, and this is telling you right here, this king Antiochus is saying, no, you got to eat this pork. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna get it. We're gonna finish it up a little bit. We're going to Judah Maccabees shortly. All right. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. Okay, so this king is trying to make us, get completely away from the Most High God. Don't do none of our original customs or keep our heritage. He's trying to turn us into to heathens. Now today we just do it like it's nothing. We just do it like it's just second nature. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he shall die. Okay. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto him, to wit everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. So they're not keeping the law, they're just doing whatever the king tells them to do, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. So a lot of Israelites who wanted to keep the laws and whatnot, they try to leave the town or whatever, or the nation or the place to get away from this oppression. And this way one must right, exactly. That's what we're gonna get into, right? Um, Now the 15th day of the month, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judea on every side. The abomination of desolation is like they sacrifice pigs on the altar. We know the pigs is a unclean animal, and it's like a big thing to do that in Israel. Like I said, today we just do it like it's nothing. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. So they took the scriptures, they even took out. They knew what to do with us. They knew what to do. get us away from the Most High God's laws, burn up the scriptures. You know what I mean? So we can't, even know our history. All right. And today you try to get a, Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man and woman to even pick up this Bible open. It's like unbelievable. They won't even do it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just amazing how times have changed. All right. And whosoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put to death. So if you even tried to, you know what I mean, get into these scriptures, or even try to keep any of these laws, he was going to kill you. Just think about that. Think about that today. And think about not being in the truth today, right? We choose to not be in the truth today. But back then, we wanted to be in it so bad, but the king, he wouldn't even allow us to do it, because he would murder you for it. So I got to tell you, how important this is today. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. So the women were getting their kids circumcised, and they put these women to death, because that's a law. Circumcision is a law. And they, listen to this, and they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. So this is what they did to our women. I mean, these devils, man. These devils are something, man. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was a very great wrath upon Israel. Okay, so now we're going to get into the next part, but I'm going to try to get through it real quick. So you see the oppression that's going on by this king Antiochus, right? Okay, and the only reason why this happened is because of us not keeping the laws, statutes, and commands. Okay, this is why it's allowed to happen, because we don't do what the Most High God says. This is why He allows these people to do these things to us. And that's like today. You can't you got to think about that today. If we keep committing sins and not doing what the Most High God says, it can happen to you again here today. All right. So we're going to First Maccabees in chapter 2. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jorib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons: Jonan called Cadus, Simon called Thasi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eliezer called Averin, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphis. Okay, so this man and his family, his children, these are going to be the people who's going to stand up and fight this wickedness. Okay. All right. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me! Woe is like destruction. Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy." Before I go on, this is something this is what they should be teaching Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians in school right here. They'll never teach you about Judas Maccabeus or Mattathias and his sons. They won't teach you about that, but they will teach you about Dr. Martin Luther King, about Malcolm X, all people who had you going against the Most High God. That's what they will teach you, but they won't actually teach you about your real history and how this man was like a hero amongst our people, was a mighty person. All right, what nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bond slave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty, our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip down. I'm trying to get into okay, now I'm gonna skip down to where it's talking about Mattathias, and like they're trying to get them to basically do what the rest of the Israelites are doing. This is 17. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise: Thou art a ruler, an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. So this is the heathens coming to him like, you're a great man. Imagine with the white man going to Shaq and going to Jay-Z, right? This is the same thing. 18. Now therefore come thou first. He's telling him to come first. He said, you're a mighty man, you're a ruler of your people. We want you to come first, because we need these people to see this. And fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends. See, this is what he does. Now, it's not funny, but this is what the devil does. He wants the celebrity, the well-known guy, the strong man. You know what I'm saying? You come up here first. You know what I'm saying? We need you to do this, so Israel can see you do it, and then they'll follow your lead. And this is what's so heavy about people like Jay-Z and Shaquille O'Neal and all these other sellout brothers and sisters who do these things. All right. And such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends. So you're going to be the king's friend if you come up and do this. And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. See, we're gonna give you silver, we're gonna give you gold, we're gonna reward you if you come and do what the king says and go against your God. That's how you get rich in America. That's what they don't tell you. You get rich in America by going against the Most High God and doing what the heathen wants you to do. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. See, he wasn't a weak Salakia bitch ass nigga. Salakia. He said, I don't give a damn what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do what the Most High God wants me to do. I'm not making no excuses. Right, Khan, right, Khan, brother, right, right, Black Boule, right, right. You're right. But this man, he is not going to give in. He don't give a damn about this man's riches. He don't care about being above his people or being some ruler or being looked at as a king's friend. He's going to keep the Most High God's law, statutes, and commands, and he's willing to die over it. This is what we really come from. This is where we originally come from. These type of people, but they never teach you this in these public schools. They don't want you to know this. They want you to. I have a dream that one day young black boys and black that's what they want you to take on. They want you to take on Dr. Martin Luther King, but they don't want you to learn about Judas Maccabeus or Mattathias. They don't want you to hear about that. All right. Again, 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. We're going to do what our ancestors did, not what you want us to do. Okay. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left. We don't give a damn what you're saying. We're not doing nothing you want us to do. We keep the commands over here. And that's how we need to be today. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Martin, according to the king's commandment. So after he stood up and said, we're not doing none of that here. Which here comes Shaquille O'Neal. Here comes Jay-Z. This is what they want. This is what the white man want. And this is our problem today, because there's always some weak Negro who will do this. All right. Now, when he had left speaking these things, speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Martin, according to the king's commandment. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal. So he was pissed. Right. He was pissed. So after they turned him down, here comes some simp come up. And it pissed Mattathias off, because this dude came up to do what the king say. And he's another Israelite. And his reins trembled. You know what I mean? Deep within, he was pissed. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. So Mattathias got pissed and ran and killed this nigga. This is in the scriptures, man. This is in the scriptures. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phoenix did unto Zombri, the son of Salam. So he's that zealous, that into the law. He wants to keep the law that bad that he went and enslaved his brother for the law. Like you can't, yeah, right. He couldn't, right, Khan, right, brother. He couldn't be paid off. He don't give a damn about your money or none of that. And he's not gonna watch, let his people see you bow down to these heathens. This is who we come from, man. This is who we really are. This is who we really are in the nation of Israel. This is who we really are. This is our real history. All right. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he's separating himself from these sellouts, your Jay-Z or your Shaquille O'Neal. He's separating himself from that. He can't be paid off. He's not like them. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now, when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem, when it was told the king and his army in Jerusalem, in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into secret places in the wilderness. So they're like, this matter, we got, most people are doing what you're saying, king, but this Mattathias, he won't do it. He's not listening. They pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. So after they circled around them and camped them, you know what I mean? They're saying, listen, we're gonna give you one more chance. You do what the king say, and we're gonna forget about that little incident you did back there. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. So now they're going to war with them now, because these brothers ain't backing down. You know what I'm saying? They like you, brother Brett. They like you, big man. You know what I'm saying? They ain't backing down. How about they answered them not, neither cast a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth will testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them, with their wives and children and their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. Okay, so he's basically saying, no, we got to fight these devils. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we die all, as our brother that were murdered in the secret places. All right. Okay, I'm trying to skip down into, okay. I'm trying to skip down into the actual, what's going on. Then Mattathias and his friends went round about and pulled down the altars. And what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. So they're just still keeping the law. Even through all this war, this battle and whatnot, they're still trying to keep the law. So they found children that were uncircumcised, they circumcised them. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of the kings. Neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. So they fought back. They not giving in. Now, when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Now, therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. I mean, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. Like this man's about to die, and he's saying, listen, man, you know what I mean? Continue doing what I was doing. Do what I was doing. Keep these laws and continue to do what the Most High God wants you to do. Don't give up this fight. This should make any Black, Hispanic, Native Indian man or woman proud, man, because this is who your people really are. This is what we really are about. We're not today where we bow down and eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster, and don't have the knowledge of our God. Can continue to do all these type of sins and whatnot. That we just do them. Like it's nature today. But this is not who we were. This is not who we were. This wasn't until the white man came into the picture and has brainwashed us into who we are now. All right. Okay. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. See, this is heavy because when you're going through something here in America, or you're facing something today, go into this Bible, get into these scriptures. This is going to tell you how to handle that situation. This is how you handle it. So shall ye receive great honor and everlasting name in an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? With Abraham's dad he made idols. But the Most High God took Abraham from his father's house and made a nation out of Abraham. That's who our father is. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. You know what I mean? So, some of our people come from, parents that, worship idols and whatnot. Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. We know that Joseph went into Egypt, was made, second to Pharaoh. Phinehas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Jesus for fulfilling the word was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, so it's going to the different people that got these different positions or whatever. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. That's King David, who's also Christ come out of that line. Solomon. This is heavy because this is our people. These are great men. These are great men. This is who we come from. You know what I mean? This is our people. This is what they need to be teaching in school. Of course, they're not going to do that because they don't want you to ever feel like you come from a great people. Okay, so let's slide down. Okay, 64. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall ye obtain glory. That's how you obtain glory, black man, by keeping the laws. It's not by getting rich. It's not by having a whole bunch of women. It's not by having the nicest car or this and that. You attain glory by keeping the law. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Now, see, he's telling them, he's giving them instruction. Listen to this. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabeus, he have been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. So he's telling them, let your brother Judas Maccabeus be your captain. Let him fight, let him, he's a strong man. Take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people. Recompense fully the heathen, and take heed to the commandments of the law. So he blessed him and was gathered to his fathers. And he died in 146th year, and his sons buried him in the sepulchres of his fathers at Modin. And all Israel made great lamentation for him. So basically, I'm not going to go into the rest, but basically, Judas Maccabeus is taking over. He's going to be the captain, and they're going to go fight these heathens, man. They're going to go fight these heathens. So I'm going to stop there on that, and I'm just going to read for you quickly the feast that's actually of Israel in the Bible. Okay, so, all right. Okay, so there's, we have the Sabbath, okay? We know what the Sabbath is. As it says, this is the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. This stood at the head of the sacred seasons. The holy convulsions by which the Sabbaths were distinguished were quite local. Families and other small groups assembled under the guidance of Levites or elders among them and engaged in some common acts of devotion, the forms and manner of which were not prescribed. Little was known of where or how the people met before the captivity, but after it, they met in synagogues and were led in worship by teachers learning the law. So the Sabbath is like, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. That's the Sabbath, okay? The Passover, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Passover was the first end point or time of all the annual feasts, and historically and religiously, it was the most important of all. That's the Passover. It was called both the Feast of the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the two really forming a double feast, a festival. It was celebrated on the first month of the religious year, on the 14th of Nisan, which is like April, and commemorated the deliverance of the Jews from Egypt and the establishment of Israel as a nation by God's redemptive act. The Feast of Unleavened Bread began on the day after the Passover and lasted 7 days. Okay, and then there's a few more, but I'm gonna skip down to where we was at the Feast of Dedication. Was observed for 8 days, beginning on the 25th of Keslev, which is December. It was instituted by Judas Maccabeus in 164 BC. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. But basically, we in these times with what's going on today in America about the so-called man-made holidays or whatnot, we as Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we cannot partake in these things. I know we were brought up, since our youth in these things, and we observe these things because our parents didn't know no better, but now you know better because of the ISUPK and the Commanding Junior Honor. Since this truth has been coming out since 1969, we do know the truth now. So there's no excuses. We can't bring Christmas trees in the house. We can't celebrate Thanksgiving. We can't, roll up the weed and celebrate New Year's and 4th of July. These are all heathen practices, and the Most High God does not want us doing what the heathens do. We have to keep our heritage, do what the Most High God says, and that's how we come up out of this hell here in America. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom. Hey, brothers, thanks for tuning in. Big Main, Brett, thanks for tuning in, brothers. And again, this is Ashley Buchanan, the Commanding Junior Honest out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Shalom.